right.
Okay, take
Good
1 million.
question.
Hi, I'm host Eric. Welcome to Talking with Famous People. We're talking about hidden agenda today in socionics, and I have been schooled properly by Margie into understanding that this one page is wrong. It says that it's the fourth. It's actually the socionics sixth, which is the um,
Mobilizing.
mobilizing function, which is the MBTI third function, which for me is extroverted feeling, not introverted feeling. Is that correct, Margie? Can you verify this for me?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, great. Margie has some beautiful
That makes
documents.
more sense anyways, because to be loved, I mean, wouldn't that be an external thing? I mean,
Yeah.
It does. Well, I mean, that's the thing. I got confused. I thought that one made more sense as an introverted feeling one, but I thought that the to understand made more sense as introverted thinking.
I have a question. So, if Eric's hidden agenda is to be loved, why isn't it that his dual would be someone with an FE Dom as opposed to like ISFJ, an SI Dom?
It's an FE tool instead. Tool function instead, or creative function, or what does MBTI call it, Chad? The second one?
The second one, the
Well-
auxiliary function.
If
Auxiliary.
you think about the ENTP chart that we're watching, that falls in the section of personal activity. So that's just something he wants for himself, you know. And as your dual, which is an ISFJ, right,
Yeah.
would provide that. They would provide that
She would
With their
provide
FE.
what? Tell me what she provide again.
with their FE to be loved.
I tell you
So
what, can we
your
get
hidden
cameras
agenda-
off, and I'm going to put on the screen her documents so we can look at them and talk about them. Come on, Socionics PDF. Hurry up. Of course it's taking forever. Okay, regardless, go ahead, Margie.
Well, you know, also according to Socionics, your third function, you like a little bit of help in that, but not too much. You don't want too much help. Too much help is, if you look at the Socionics chart,
Wait, just to clarify, third function. We're talking about MBTI third function.
right.
Right, FP.
Or,
It might be better just like whatever. Never mind.
Yeah, I get you. We'll figure out some methodology to deal with this. So here, it finally came up. So, and it's true what you say about wanting a little bit of help but not too much. I think my ex-wife was an example of when I get too much help, which I intend to interpret as them being controlling.
And-
Go ahead.
right, and that's better for like an INTP who is looking for that. They appreciate that kind of help, and there's almost like no such thing as too much. You know, when it's your fourth MBTI function.
For SI,
Again,
for me,
like
for
an
sure.
INTP, exactly. So an INTP is FE seeking, so they love that. They're going to be the type that loves that the most.
So what does Chad get infinite help in, that he's finding to get infinite help in?
FI,
Yeah. So it'd be an ISFP, right?
right? That would be your tool.
Have you dated an ISFP before, Chad?
Yep.
How was it?
Yep.
What, did you get infinite help in FI?
No. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I've never related to socionics. It does not define me in any way, shape, form whatsoever.
Okay. Well, we're
Yeah.
testing it. I'm not claiming it's true. I'm running through what it says. You know.
I've never related to it. I just don't. You know, the whole description of ENTJ, I don't relate to. It's just very odd for me. So I never really gave it much credit because it never related to. I relate to MBTI a lot more than socionics personally. I mean, my relationships with INFPs have been 100 times better than ISFPs, and it's been consistent. So
Interesting.
yeah, I don't know. I've never jived with the socionics model because of that. So,
Well, that's
MBTI
good
is
data.
always-
I appreciate having additional input as to people's different.
How accurate do we think the inner type stuff is?
Well, I'm going to interject. I'm not a socionics expert by any means, but from the sole fact that, socionics is so descriptive and it's so much more in-depth and it's so much more decisive than MBTI, it leaves a lot more room for error. So it's a lot deeper than MBTI as far as what is socionics doctrine and what is not.
Well, what you call room for error, though, could also be called implicit
accuracy.
Capacity for falsification, which would lead it to become increasingly true as people falsify certain things.
Right. And that's why I don't say socionics sucks. I don't relate to it.
Right.
So,
well, that's a good reason to think that at least certain parts of it are not yet accurately describing certain types. I find myself in general just agreeing with ILE, but I also find that it doesn't differ a whole lot from MBTI's description of ENTP.
I find myself, like, the socionics thing is, I've become somewhat obsessive with the inner type stuff, where it's like, if I suspect someone being a certain type, then I look at the inner type and see if, like the inner type relationship or whatever, and see if it's applicable. And if I perceive it as not being applicable, then I start questioning, like, my own conclusions about their type and my own type, and I start making excuses as to why it might not be that way, and it gets very confusing for me.
I have a question for Margie. Can you talk about this as the block of activity? Through these functions, people present their demands to society, easily manipulated by others. Prolonged use and productivity here not likely, may look strong. Can you talk about the distinction, why it looks strong but actually is not strong?
Well, the reason is because they're not strong because there are weak functions.
Right.
Okay. They're complete
I got a
opposite.
question before we jump on to this. Quick question is this: what do you mean by strong exactly?
We're talking about the fourth and the third function in MBTI.
Well,
That's going to be
the word strong itself. What I want to make sure I'm on the same page because
There's semantics, right?
Yeah, because the semantics to me is saying, oh, this is your weak function, so it's always going to be weak. It's never going to be strong. So what's the point of even learning type dynamics if you can't use it to grow and get stronger?
I think it means strong, like it's easy. I don't think it means you can't grow there.
Ease of use.
I think it's just
That's
easy.
what we mean by
like
strong.
you don't think about it. It just comes naturally to you. Yeah.
well. I
You're saying
think
my FE comes naturally to me?
Sorry?
Did you just say for me, I'm an INTP, my FE would come naturally to me if it looked
No.
strong?
Well, your FE would be considered weak, and the reason for that is because it's the complete opposite of TI. You can't have both worlds. You can if you're going to concentrate on TI.
Why might it look strong, like it says in the chart?
Oh, why might it look strong? Well, because this is your individual needs function. So you go to this area for you. So
okay. Let me
you value
interject.
these functions.
Oh, go ahead, Margie. Sorry.
So you value these functions, so you'll work on them.
Okay, and,
They're
and
important for
I'm
you.
more conscious than my TI, for example.
No, they're actually unconscious, and your TI is conscious. And it depends on the way you say it too, because TI obviously is just going on in your head. But
okay, so
This is
there's a
something
couple of
that's
issues. Let me
up
interject
front.
here, actually, because I think there's a couple of issues we need to pin down. We do have some definitional concerns here, okay? Number one, as Chad points out, is this strength issue. I think strength can be manifest in a few different ways. It can be either manifest as others would state the sentence, oh yeah, he's good at that. That's one way of understanding strength. Another way of understanding strength is effectiveness in terms of specific outcomes, capacity to use a given thing to achieve outcomes. Or another area of strength might be frequency of use. Those are all different things that would manifest differently. So that is an important distinction to make. Another problem I'm having definitionally here is conscious or unconscious. Now, MBTI tells me my fourth function is conscious. I perceive it as conscious, and my internal validation mechanisms say it is conscious. In this regard, I know what it feels like and can manifest the behavior of and can go into the world of an ISFJ like my mother and fret about my personal schedule and stuff. I know how to do it. I can't sustain it very long, as you say here, that prolonged use productivity here not likely. Absolutely true, especially for the SI. But I know what it is. It's conscious in the sense that I have a good sense of it and know how to use it if I choose to. So in other words, I'm able to
You can
choose
mean-
to use it.
Unconscious, like it's going on in the background, because in the foreground you're going to be using NE. You can't use both at the same
Well,
time.
Right,
Impossible.
but see, I
They're
don't like
opposite.
that definition of unconscious, because what you're really saying is I'm alternating between consciously used functions, right? And this one's not currently being used. It's true that I can't both use my left hand to write and throw a baseball at the same time. That doesn't mean that I'm throwing a baseball unconsciously with my left hand.
Okay, so you can go into SI. You can do that, but don't shoot the messenger. I'm just, you know what I mean? I'm just copying what Socionics says. This is how they say it. So
Okay, yeah, and
maybe
I'm just
it's
saying,
worth looking into more.
I'm not shooting. I never shoot messengers. I want to make this clear. There are plenty of times when it sounds like I'm shooting messengers. I'm always shooting ideas. And sometimes I'm yelling at the messenger because they keep fumbling around and not giving me the message, right? Sometimes that's true. But I'm never shooting messengers. I'm always shooting messages. That's my fucking number one principle in life. There is no such thing as messengers. Messengers are irrelevant.
It's just a thing, Okay.
I know. Well, look, this is you know what you're doing right now here, Marjay? I want to make this clear. This is I greatly appreciate it. You are helping me grow in my FE. That's what you're
FE?
doing. Yeah, I'm learning to be more socially adept at interacting with you. Right now, I'm probably fumbling in FE, and so I'll watch this later and I'll go, okay, Eric, next time handle it like this. I'll
Well, I
think a
mean,
little
it was
bit.
pretty funny. Your response, she was like, I'm just, the messenger, and your response was that, oh, well, I don't shoot messengers, just bad messengers. And you implied that this situation was, like, equally
I yell at messengers who are slow at getting me the fucking message because they want to do a bunch of FE dances.
All messengers are FE users, huh?
Well, I don't know.
It was just like, I don't hold any value to messengers, except when they have bad virtue. Then I hold value to messengers, and this is...
That's
It was so funny.
that's my TE coming through there or something. I don't know. Is that TE, Chad? When I get like bossy or fussy, or is that just bad FI
Yeah, because
management or what?
I'm thinking the same thing. I'm thinking, get to the point. What do we need to get to? I don't say it, though. I'm just like, what is going on here? I'm like, okay, first off, we gotta get this going. Like,
Okay.
I still don't even know what it means that I want to be healthy. Can we answer that? Can we talk about that?
Right. That means that you want to be more in touch with your body, because in Socionics SI types, like SI DOMs, they're in touch with their body. They're not intuitive. They're not in La La Land. They know what's going on. They know every single change that happens in their body. So that's something that you strive for. You strive to understand your body. And so you will try to take control in that area, like pay attention to what you eat, exercise. Like a lot of INFPs are like marathon runners, things like
I
that.
exercise
It's almost
every
like
day.
you're trying to prove that, hey, I can do this too,
Yeah, I get it.
So does this
Zachary, is that
manifest
true for you?
as somebody
make sense?
wanting some other person to run interference for you in this area? Like, because that's what it feels like to me. I want some other person to run interference for me in the area of FE sometimes, but not all the time. Like, I would love it to have like a wife like I used to have, but not quite so bossy towards me, but bossy on my behalf towards others.
like a filter.
Well, like a helper.
Well, yeah, because you do appreciate some help, but
Right.
you're sort of like a little kid, like, I want to do this, me. Also, with
I'm totally like that. I am exactly like that.
Well, everybody is with their third function.
Oh, okay.
So for me, it's TI. So for me, it's important that I look smart.
You do. You seem
People
totally
think that.
fucking smart. Just because I'm attacking your
Oh,
shit doesn't mean
yeah.
I'm not impressed by it. In fact, it means I am impressed by it. That's why I'm attacking
So-
your shit.
So, Margie, are you an INFJ in MBTI?
Yes.
An INFP? Okay, so you're MBTI.
Right,
INFJ.
and right.
Okay.
Okay.
Because my experience is,
So- Mhm.
my experience has been mainly ENFPs who really are defensive, MBTI ENFPs who are really defensive, particularly about their intelligence or their looking smart.
Oh, right. That's their hidden agenda, but it's different. Like our hidden agenda, and that includes the ISFJ, is to understand. So we want to understand something. So if somebody uses a word that I'm not familiar with, I'll say, well, what does that mean? You know, I'm not shy about it because I want to understand it, you know?
Hey,
Or
Mar-
ENFP, and sorry?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Margie.
Okay, an ENFP and an ESFP, their hidden agenda is TE. So their hidden agenda is not to understand, but to know. So what you'll see is that they're usually well versed on everything, at least in a surface level sort of way. Those types always surprise me with everything that they know. You know, they know about football, they know about politics. They stay in the loop, and I think part of it's because they're extroverted and they want like topics to talk about.
Like, if
They
I
want
wanted
to
to
know
piss off,
everything.
if I wanted to piss off an ENFP, I'd just be like, you know what, you're dumb, and that would piss them off.
Oh yeah, that's
I
the
mean,
worst thing
that's-
to tell them.
I
Though.
feel like ENFPs have a certain cadence to them, to where they sound like they don't know what they're talking about when I hear them talk. But then sometimes they actually do. If I like look into the information, I'm just like, oh, they weren't shitting around.
Sometimes they
Margie,
actually
do you remember the video in which I called into question a little bit, not even at all, but just a little bit, INFJ intelligence?
Yes, I do remember that.
That I have never seen a bunch of INFJs freak out before. Well,
Maybe that's the
Right,
key
you
to-
would,
to
because that's
quick
that's where their self-esteem lies, is in their intelligence.
but see, here's the thing
So-
I said was unfair in that video, and I still say it's unfair. We all have to deal with being challenged in that area. I certainly do. You know, I mean, it's a topic that I'm constantly talking about. My need to improve in that area. It's an area that people are talking to me about a lot. I get I get a lot of pushback in that thing. Like, Eric, don't say that. You know. So for me, it's an openly discussed and an admitted area of challenge. But if you mention anything with intelligence, people freak out and they treat it entirely differently. It seems to me a double standard. Fails the reciprocal burdens test.
Well, it's equivalent to somebody telling you, like, I hate you, I hate your ideas suck. You
It's
know, sort of
not.
like that. Because that's your hidden agenda, is to be loved, and specifically to be loved for your ideas. Why do you think you have an MBTI channel? I mean, MBTI YouTube
Thing,
channel.
whatever
because
channel.
you want, why do you
Whatever.
want so many followers?
Why do I have a
You
talk
want
show?
to
Oh,
be
I know.
loved.
I know I want to be loved, but that just happened.
you're
I
kinda
didn't
cool.
construct
You
it
want the
like
cult.
this. It just happened.
I have a
And-
funny. I used to get really upset at my friends for criticizing me for my coffee consumption. I used to get so upset at them. I used to get so mad, and it was to the point to eventually, or they did it so often that it eventually became almost like a bulwark. Like now, it's like I just like ran with that shit. You know, I know I drink a lot of coffee, but they used to criticize me and like say that I was making poor health decisions and things like that. And it used to get me so
Oh, yeah.
pissed. But you
Yeah,
know.
see, it goes.
Chad, do you
Yeah,
feel
like-
do you feel defensive when people criticize you about your introverted feeling?
I mean, I'm going to need a specific example. for
Would it
that.
be if it wouldn't be FI for him? It would be
No, it would.
It would
That's what
be-
we decided this already. Come on.
FI's in his
SE.
fourth though.
It'd be SE.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
just SE.
Oh, sorry. Okay, but I was
So-
wrong in the order. It's
Well, somebody basically, if someone
SE.
called me broke,
oh, is that SE and is SE
You're broke
money?
and you're weak. You never get anything done.
Oh shit.
you're broke, you're weak,
Right,
you're
S-
unproductive.
SE is about
Wow, that's pretty
Unproductive.
harsh.
Would you cry, Lauren?
Would I cry?
with
Probably.
S.
On your shoulder, Lorenz.
Go ahead, Margie.
Right. So SE in socionics is associated with power, money, sex, things like that. So he's going to want to exude that. So anybody saying anything negative about that area, it would not be taken lightly.
So if
I
your
would
girlfriend
think.
wants to piss you off, she just has to call you lint dick or something.
Yeah, sexually
I,
engaged.
I think that's true for every male.
Every
What
male.
male's gonna be like? Bring it on, sweetie, more of that. I love that talk. I'm so weak and impotent and useless. Thanks, sweetie. I love it. Nobody wants to hear that.
That's okay, Limp Dick. We still love you.
People do actually. It's weird.
Okay.
They'll show off
Go.
like status things, like their vehicles and their, I don't know.
Okay. So Chad's likely have a nicer car than me. I don't have a very nice car. I have a Scion. It's a hand-me-down from my ex-wife. I can't imagine if I had a lot of money, and I don't. But if I did, if I were rich or something, I hope to eventually be. What I want to buy an expensive one is there's a German piano that I see at this store. It's not that far from my house, and it costs, believe it or not, $60,000. And my thinking is, like, someday if I ever get super rich, I'm gonna buy that fucking piano. But it's because it sounds so good. It's like the best sounding piano I've ever played on my life.
Okay, that's one thing. I don't know if it's worth talking in a video, but the amount of money you pay for an instrument really is evident in its sound. It really is. Like, every time I go to buy new strings at this guitar shop, that's I have to drive like an hour to get there. I always play all the guitars there, and I'm always I go home demoralized. I'm fucking broke, and I can't afford it. But it really does have a significant effect on its quality. That's something
Yeah.
that's really,
If you think about it, because all these the best instruments are handmade, they're not factory produced. So obviously, value per hour is way higher. So you're going to get way better sound.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
instead of buying a car, I'd definitely buy that piano. If I were going to be like, ooh, I could actually afford to buy this Mercedes or something, that's probably almost the same amount of money as that piano. I'd rather have the piano, for sure.
Well, I
think
had a video I put up probably a year ago, and this was before I knew anything about socionics or even really MBTI. I just had this theory that the tertiary function in MBTI was their hidden I didn't even look that up. I just assumed that's what types wanted because I could see it. Like, I was working with, say, ENTPs, and I was like, man, all these ENTPs just want to be loved. I was like, that's really at the core what they really want, you know. And I was like,
Tell me, how many of them fight the living shit out of you over it? How many of
They
them
do,
fight
they
you
do.
about it?
you know, they all fought it. But I was like, it's okay. I love you anyway.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a tough reality to accept, right? We don't want to accept the fact that we have this need for affirmation and attention because we're trained by society that there's something wrong with that. And I think that I have a theory. I don't know what it's based on except just my gut or something, but it's that we're basically, ENTPs are really well taken care of when they're little kids, and their parents go, oh, you're so smart and creative and we love you so much, and then they spend the rest of their life trying to make the world fair and just like that, and to try to get the same thing from the world, that their parents gave them when they were little kids. That's my experience, so I think that's a pretty good explanation of ENTP life.
And I think the hidden agenda is related to our polar function, which is our weakest function. So for me, for example, it's TE. So I'll put more emphasis on TI just in general. Then TE is very hard for me to go to. And so I think that the unbalanced aspect of it plays a role.
Now, does anybody have any thoughts? Zachary, maybe you have thoughts, or Chad, or anybody else have any thoughts on whether these diagrams she put together are examples of TE? Are they good TE?
No, they're TI.
They're
NI.
TI? Can somebody
TI.
help elucidate the distinction being made here?
Okay, so being a TE dominant, I can tell you it doesn't look like TE. It does look like NI. Like, I looked at it and I almost immediately understood it, but not in a logical, organizational way. I kind of took the big picture of the concept and was like, ooh, that's it. That's everything I need.
Well, no,
and she
TI is
did
about
not said anything and I still would have got it instantly.
That's really interesting how you point out that it's an NI thing aside from, because we were thinking like on the thinking dichotomy, right? And then you're
Right.
yeah, it's a good point.
He could have just not said anything, and I instantly understood it.
For me, I saw it, and I couldn't make a judgment until I actually like looked around and like caught on to something specifically. Like the first thing that caught my eye was like the fourth thing where it says MBTI, like the 7 function, and then I realized that she organized it that way, and I can take that and make sense out of the rest of it, right? And so that's
So
kind of
I'll
like
tell you. Can I tell you why it's not TE? And the reason is because I did these charts in my own time, and it took me hours for myself, for no other reason than for that. That's no TE. Like I have no, it has nothing, no real world values. You know what I mean? It's for me. I used all this time, so it wasn't efficient.
Okay,
So,
I mean, I'm sold that's not
luckily
TE.
you guys
I wasn't
were-
making the argument that it was. I was asking for sort of
No,
clarification
I know.
on the point.
I'm just.
I want to I want to make an additional distinction here, which is this about learning styles. So Chad, because it conformed with his NI well, he was able to look at it. Also, because I suspect that tends to align with visual stuff more, and he processed it. Zach wanted to read through it and look at it and figure it out. The ideal way that I would be allowed to learn everything would be to just ask you a series of questions and you give me one-word answers about it, and then that's how I would learn it. Oh shit! I gotta get my dog. Compton, get your ass in here. Compton, come in here. Come in here. Compton, come here. Compton, come here. Compton, come here. Compton, come here, baby. How the fuck do you get
Yeah, it's
outside?
really interesting, the image ended up being like, I guess I do, at least in the abstract, care about my health. I have a bad time keeping up with it though.
God.
I have a bad time like regulating myself to do certain things. Even if it would, I know it would improve my health, I have a hard time doing that. But I am conscious of what I eat, so that's probably correlated with that.
It's Doug's Houdini. I have piled up all this shit along the back here to try to block this exit that the dog somehow sneaks out. And then I hear her barking. She's outside again. How the fuck did she get out? I should take to show you what I have put up over there. Alright, so I'm sorry to have interrupted. Continue any final thoughts on this topic because we're at a good length to end the video.
I think I was finished speaking. I was just saying that I think one of the ways that SI manifests in me is I am conscious of what I'm eating, like the substance and how much it is. I was like a vegetarian for like a year or two, and I did that like the ketosis diet, if anyone's familiar with that, for a long time when I was younger. But yeah.
One of my good friend's son is a INTJ, socionics, INTP, MBTI, and he's obsessed with every nutrient that he puts in his body. Like,
Really?
yeah, he's insane about it. Like, every single one, he's gone on huge diet, fast, everything to make sure everything is balanced.
Me too.
So it's not in an aesthetic, hey, this is how I look at my body. It's like, I want to be the healthiest as possible. Because he's kind of skinny. He doesn't lift weights or anything, but he just makes sure that everything is balanced in his body, you know? And that's, he's really, really
So like
obsessed
keeping
about
up with like his vitamins and everything like that?
Yeah.
Like that kind of like...
yeah, and making sure that the vitamins aren't synthetic and all that stuff. He's really,
Right.
yeah, he's pretty heavy into that, whereas I don't care. So, as long as I can use my health effectively, I'm happy. As long as it has some practicality or
Yeah,
function to it. Yeah,
That's
I mean-
And as long as it
because
looks
SI is your.
that's also important.
Go
As
ahead,
long as it looks
Margie. Go ahead, Margie.
Yeah, that's because SI is your vulnerable or polar function. So you have like almost the least connection with your body out of all types. Yours and the ENFJ will have the least connection with your body.
I feel
Well,
like
you know,
that's
despite
right.
being an ENTP, I care a lot about my health. I make sure I get enough tar and nicotine in my lungs, it's a concern. A lot of people have a problem called excessive unobstructed
Moments I
breathing
wake up and I'm
syndrome.
just like, you know what? I'm breathing way too easily.
Well, you probably are suffering from excessive unobstructed breathing syndrome, which is a problem a lot of people have. So I smoke these. That helps deal with that. Additionally, a lot of people try to eat things like vegetables and fruits, not aware that that's not actually good for them. The best thing to do, there's a place called McDonald's. You go through there a couple times a day, and you don't have to worry about the eating thing. So a little healthy advice from Eric
It's
for everybody.
cheap too, you know?
It's cheap too, and it's the best thing for you. Thanks for watching Talking with Famous People.